Little Miss Plump by Roger Hargreaves. Greedy girl! Little Miss Plump certainly was. What? Plump, I'll say. As plump as a cushion. She lived in Cherry Cake Cottage. One lovely summer morning, a Monday, she awoke earlier than usual. She felt hungry, and so she went into a kitchen and cooked herself some breakfast. Some breakfast indeed. Sausages. Now, if you or I had sausages for breakfast, how many sausages would we each have? 1, perhaps 2, maybe 3. Guess how many sausages Miss Plump had for breakfast? 66. Count them. 66 succulent, sizzling sausages, which is difficult to say, and even more difficult to eat, unless you're Miss Plump. Miss Plump cut the last sausage on her plate in half, and popped one piece into her mouth. She sighed contentedly, and popped the other piece into her mouth. That was nice, she thought to herself. Now what shall I have? Guess what? Toast. Now, if you or I had toast for breakfast, how many slices would we each have? 1, maybe 2, perhaps 3. Guess how many slices of toast Miss Plump had for breakfast? 23. 23 thick, tasty slices of tempting toast and jelly. Just as Miss Plump was licking the last crumb of the 23rd slice of toast from her lips, there was a knock at the door of Cherry Cake Cottage. It was the postman. "Letter for you, Miss Plump," he said cheerfully. "Oh, good!" smiled Miss Plump, for she didn't often get letters. "Would you like a cup of tea while you're here?" she said. "I'm going to have one." One indeed. Just look at the size of Miss Plump's teapot. The postman had one cup of tea and a chat, thanked Miss Plump, and left. Miss Plump poured herself another cup. Another after the 11 other cups she'd already had, and opened the letter. It was from Mr. Greedy. "Dear Miss Plump," Mr. Greedy had written, "next Wednesday is my birthday. Please come to tea at 4 o'clock. Miss Plump was delighted. She hadn't seen her old friend Mr. Greedy for quite some time. Wednesday was a lovely day. After a little light lunch, we'll tell you what it was later, Miss Plump drove off in her car to Mr. Greedy's. But before she went, she put something on the back seat of her car. Something large. Mr. Greedy's birthday present. At precisely 4 o'clock, Miss Plump pulled up in front of Mr. Greedy's roly-poly sort of house. Mr. Greedy was there to greet her. "Hello, Miss Plump," he smiled. "How lovely to see you after all this time." "Happy birthday, Mr. Greedy," laughed Miss Plump and gave him a kiss. Mr. Greedy blushed. "Do come in," he said. "Tea's all ready." Miss Plump was following Mr. Greedy into his house when she suddenly remembered something. You know what it was, don't you? That's right, Mr. Greedy's birthday present. "Wait a minute," she said. "Can you please help me lift something out of the back of my car?" She smiled. "It's quite heavy," she added. "Certainly," agreed Mr. Greedy. There, on the back seat of Miss Plump's car, was the biggest birthday cake you've ever seen in your whole life. A huge, enormous, gigantic, colossal raisin cake with thick pink icing on top and strawberry jam in the middle. "I only put one candle on it," explained Miss Plump as they carried it to the house, "because I didn't know how old you were." "Oh, you shouldn't have," laughed Mr. Greedy. He licked his lips. "But I'm glad you did." "I baked it today," said Little Miss Plump, and then she chuckled. "I have a confession to make," she said. "This isn't the only cake I baked today. The first one looked so delicious, I ate it for breakfast." She chuckled again. "And the second one looked so delicious," she went on. "I ate it for lunch." Mr. Greedy grinned. "Time for tea," he said. Thank you for listening.